Hi and welcome back to my little corner of the internet. Hello, I'm back. I know I disappeared there for a while, but work happened and yeah. Anyways, I bought an action cam and I thought this would be like an amazing tool to like put on your forehead, and then you could like, film what you're doing and you have both of your hands free and you didn't have to worry about camera angles and stuff. I don't know if it's as good as I thought it would be, but here we go. I am combining two shirts, my Victorian sports blouse and the one I made with all the folds, where I've taken the sleeves of the one with all the folds and put them on the body of the Victorian sports blouse, because I really love the shape of the blouse, or the Victorian sports blouse, and I love the big sleeves from the other one. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try to combine it, and I'm doing this on some old bed sheets, which actually turned out pretty well. I'm just starting off by cutting all of the pieces out as good as I can, and I just have to apologize for the wobbliness of the camera. I apparently move my head a lot more than I thought when I make stuff, and the exposure on the camera isn't the greatest, so it goes from being light and dark and light and dark in like a few seconds. So I'm sorry, this is totally an experiment, this video, to see if I could do that as well. But here are all the pieces. Then I'm going to start off with all the assembly marks on the sleeve. I have just transferred the same marks that I had on the sports blouse sleeves onto these sleeves, so the assembly points are the same, but the size is not the same because there's more volume at the top. And I've also borrowed a microphone from a friend, so if I sounded a bit different, that's why. All sort of new things happening in this video. I'm putting in a gathering thread all alongside the edge. Please let me know if you got seasick doing this video. I really want to try it again, but being more mindful of my head movements. First, gathering thread in. And this is very simple. I'm just trying to mirror what I just did. And I could do this on my machine as well, but my machine and I are not the best at long stitches, if that makes sense. Gathering threads all in. I just need to do that on the other sleeve as well. And here is the, where you put the cuffs on. This shirt is seriously just a big old experiment with the camera and with the fabric and with combining pattern pieces that are not really supposed to go together. Well, are not from the same pattern. And somehow it just all turned out okay. So yay for experiments. I'm just going to give that a little stitch. This is my sewing machine, my little faff, a little workhorse that not always works with you, but sometimes works against you. That's just the way of sewing machines, they all have their own little lives. And I'm going to do the same with the other sleeve, but here I'm just sewing it together. Here is the collar bit. Going to sew that together as well. Remembering to make that little corner where you can see that the collar is cornered as well. So sew that in and try to make it as even on both sides as I can. These are the cuffs. I'm going with plain old square cuffs, nothing to it really. Sometimes you need to use the floor because you don't have enough space on your working table. Here I'm just sewing together the body piece with the side seams and the shoulder seams and all that stuff. And again, I'm sorry for the wobbly camera. Here are all the pieces done, sleeves done. Ready to put on, cuffs, the other sleeves. I'm just snipping the corners before I press the seam allowance and then turn them around. I'm going to do the same with the cuffs as I'm doing with the collar bit. And here I'm just trying to do this as well as I can on my little sleeve press here. And I'm just using my little scissors to make the corners pop out. You have to be careful when you do this, but it's a good little trick. If your corners get all round, you can also use a knitting needle if the corners are super small and tight. Yeah, just turn the collar bit around, using my scissors for the corners. And voila! Almost ready to be put on the shirt. And I'm doing the same with the body part of the shirt, giving all the seam allowance a little press. I'm just going to give those little stitch alongside the edge. I have the body part of the shirt done, almost. Sleeves. And here I'm giving the cuffs and the collar bit a little extra stitch, just for fun and because I think it looks nice. It also keeps the seam allowance in place. Putting the cuffs on the sleeves, I've pinned them in first, and we're going to fold that over and give it a little stitch again, just to keep the seam allowance down. And then I'm going to trim the excess seam allowance off. And here I'm finding center front and where the buttons in theory are going to be, I'm only going to put one button at the top in these, and then the rest is going to be sewn together. But I have to find where the overlap is, so I can fold that in and then iron it and then stitch it afterward. But you'll see that in just a minute. And I'm just using a pencil to mark off, because I only have like orange big chalk. And I didn't want to have big orange splotches on my front. And here I'm just folding that in and giving it a little press to keep it nice in place without burning my fingers. And I'm doing this with both pieces. Again, a big experiment, this shirt, but it was fun making, and I felt a bit silly walking around with a camera on my forehead, but that was okay. Sewing that on, giving it a little stitch. I'm going to do the same on the edge, it's called. And here I'm going to place them over each other so I can see how far down I want them to connect. On both sides. Here I'm putting on the collar bit. And I'm also giving that a little stitch and then trimming the seam allowance. And now I'm putting in sleeves, which was actually pretty easy because there is so much puff in these sleeves, so you don't really have to think about the fabric lying smooth. It just have to be even with all of the folds or pleats, as you can see here. So that was actually pretty easy. And I'm definitely going to make this shirt again, but in some different fabric. I've actually already bought the fabric for it, because I have summer vacation coming up and I have all the time to make stuff. It's going to be so good. And there are actually going to become videos out of me making stuff. I'm so excited. But here's the sleeves in, and I'm going to find where I want to put the one button, and that is only going to be in the collar bit. I don't know what you call this style of shirt, but I was inspired from old farmer shirts here in Denmark, where they only have like one button at the top, and then they don't have any, like an undershirt. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you see you next time. And please let me know if you got too seasick watching this. Thank you so much. Bye.